Shai Mashiach is come in the flesh is of the Most High. And every spirit that confesses not that Yahushua is coming to the flesh is not of the Most High. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof ye have heard it should come, and even now already is in the world. So that's a spirit. Ye are of the children of the Most High, or ye are of the Most High little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world heareth them. Now, when you check out all them groups, GMS is the haters. They want to straight up kill us, man. So we're the hated ones. So you should say, well, wait a minute. They might be the group because everybody hates them. And because Nate, everybody loves Nate. You got the music videos. You got the nice garments. You got those weddings. You know, you got the party Passovers. You know, oh yeah, he was pastor of the year. So that means the world loves him. Okay. Now, hey, brother, somebody made me look too hard. You the pastor. I don't want that motherfucker. Get out of here. I don't want it. I don't want your money. I don't want nothing. Okay? Just keep it moving.
That's right. I got it right. Yeah, herd mentality.
They speak of the world.
Yeah, Nate, I believe he was pastor of the year 2014 or maybe 15. We could easily look it up. So that proves that he's of the world, man. They love him. Herd mentality or mob mentality describes how people are influenced by their peers to adopt certain behaviors, follow trends, and or purchase items. That's why they got all of them got that Purple Bonnie T-shirt, which Nate made a killing off that. And you had to buy it.
I was going to say that. You have to buy it. Where's that in the law?
Right.
Where's it saying in the law that thou must buy a T-shirt from so-and-so?
Yeah, did the 12 apostles all wear the same garment? Wait a minute. John the Baptist wore camel hair's garment. It didn't say that Yahushua wore camel heads.
Got on him and said, look, man, look, John, you got to get down with the
You got to get in fashion.
You got to get down with the sweet Jesus T-shirt.
Yeah, you got to get it. You got to get in fashion. The height of fashion. Examples of the herd mentality include stock market trends, superstition, and home decor. That's pretty much it.
Oh, like a good example. You got these women. It's like every woman I see got a pair of jeans with slits all in them. Why did they do that? Did they all get up one day and decide to put slip? No, because that's a fashion statement. I even see men doing that, man. I hate to say this, even guys in GMS. I had to get on a couple of guys that got slits. I said, what the hell you wearing? I said, first of all, I'm thinking maybe you homeless or something. Nah. You know? And certain guys in GMS got their pants sagging down off their ass, man. You ain't supposed to have your pants sagging off your ass. You ain't supposed to have slits in your goddamn jeans, man. You know?
All right, going back to the book. It says, it is known, this is page 10. It is known as a chip when implanted into humans or animals instead of the RFID tag or label. And the microchip because it is extremely small, minute in size, being proportionate to a grain of rice in 2004. And now they have nanotechnology where they can make it even smaller. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, approves the use of RFID chips in humans, namely the Very chip, which I believe they named, you had Digital Angel, which changed its name to Veritech, and they're all the same. You know, they just changed the names. It says Exodus 21:6 and Deuteronomy 15:17 entails how puncturing and piercing symbolize a status of servitude and slavery in our law. You know, and that's how they would brand cattle back then, or slaves. You know, when you go all throughout different histories, different nations had different ways of branding their slaves. So now that this so-called white men, the Edomites, are in their empire, they want to brand their slaves with the new technology that they have out there, which is the RFID microchip. You know, because back then, the only way, you know, if your property got loose, whether it was a slave or the cattle, people had to find it physically, and when they found it, then it bore the mark of the slave master, and they would bring it back to that slave master. Now the brand that you have on you, they can track you wherever you're at. No longer do you have to by coincidence or by luck find the person or the item. They can track it down now and find it very easily. It says, historically, earrings, nose rings, and branding was public indication or sign of slavery. The RFID implant is no different and will culminate and officially conclude our status as slaves to the elite international bankers. And that's what they want to do. The scriptures say the servant is lender to the borrower. Oh, matter of fact, I had looked something up. Just I don't want to say messing around, but I would just type something up on the Google, and this came up. It's called debt bondage. Debt bondage, also known as debt slavery or bonded labor, is a person's pledge of their labor or services as security for the repayment for a debt or other obligation. Now, there's a scripture. Let me see if I can find it. Apostle Gabar, you mind grabbing what is that? Proverbs 27 and 7, is it? Yeah. All right. I just want to see if I can find this other scripture. Let me see if I could think of the wording. Do you have that one?
Proverbs 27 and 7.
I believe so.
The full soul.
What about 6?
Faithful
no,
are
sorry,
the wounds.
22 and 7. Proverbs 22 and 7. Con. Okay, I got the word.
Proverbs 22 and 7. It says, "The rich ruleth over the poor,
Con.
and the borrower is servant to the lender."
And that's the point. The borrower is servant to the lender, and that's debt bondage. So now, when these devils set this system up, they set these people up from 1913 till now for a fall through debt, and then they'll have their property, everything that they own, even themselves as slaves. Same thing when you go back to the ancient Egyptian empire. When the people ran out of money, they started selling their cattle. When the people ran out of cattle, they started selling their land. When the people ran out of land, they gave themselves into bondage. You know? So that's that debt bondage.
That's how Egypt became great.
Yeah, I got some information for you. This is from dated May 28, 2016. True Democracy Party. It says birth certificate equals slavery certificate. The truth about your birth certificate: Americans are born into slavery. Birthday equals slave day, slavery. Now we understand why the scriptures say the day of one's death is better than the day of one's birth. You got people that celebrate birthday, especially Israelite. Why are you celebrating your birthday when you're born into slavery? But you're celebrating it because you don't know. That's why the scriptures say, "He that increaseth in knowledge increaseth in sorrow." You know? But that was it, man. Just right there in your face. Birth certificate equals slavery certificate. That's it.
Con. If I could read this real quick. This is Proverbs 11:15. He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it, and he that hateth suretyship is sure. Now, suretyship or surety, when you go to the Hebrew word, it's irabah or irab, which means to pledge, exchange, mortgage, engage, occupy, undertake for, give pledges. Be or become surety, take on pledge, give in pledge. So this to exchange, pledge. So this national debt that is owed to these international bankers, that debt fell upon the people, the American citizens of America. So that's why they want to put the microchip in them, because they're slaves on the loose right now. So that's why they want to corral everybody together, you know, so that they can keep track of everybody, so they can get the maximum amount of labor out of each individual.
And there's a bunch of contracts, not just one that makes us slaves. There's a bunch of contracts. It begins with the birth certificate.
That's right.
Yeah, basically what they want to do is, you know, let's say you're a plumber. You know, you can work for a company, a plumbing company, right? And you make a certain wage and you got to pay certain tax. but then you can do side jobs for your neighbor, you know, or you're a carpenter or you're an auto mechanic or you know how to fix computers. You know, you can go to your neighbors and stuff and give fix it for them at a lower price. Well, they want to do away with all that paper money and all that, where everything is electronic. So there's no way you can just make money on the side. Every piece of money that you make is going to be accounted for. All right. That's why they want that system, man. That's the main reason why they want that system.
Back to the book. It says the RFID implant is no different and will culminate and officially conclude our status as slaves to the elite international bankers. Do not the elites refer to the masses as goyim, or goyim, meaning cattle? As our currency continues to transition from fiat money to checks, money orders to debit, credit cards, the next stage in the sequence of a cashless society is the implementation of the RFID chip. It was introduced in President Obama's recent healthcare reform bill that passed in 2010. Found on page 1004, General Colin Powell once stated, "The Social Security number was a means of tracking American citizens. The RFID chip is its successor and the mark found in Revelation." And that's the end of chapter 1 in the book. And you jump to chapter 2. Okay, chapter 2 is the mark and the euro connection. Further biblical prophecy was fulfilled following the establishment of the European Union, the EU, on January 1st, 1958. The EU was created as an economic and political union of various European nations to serve as an entity to reconstruct the economies of the European continent, prevent war, and ensure peace following the Second World War. So they had to pretty much set everything back up, because they were devastated after that war. As a monetary union with its own currency, the EU prints and mints both the euro, banknotes, and coin. The EU member states using the euro make up a conglomerate known as the Eurozone. The euro is the second largest reserve currency after the US dollar. Currently, the EU is the largest exporter and importer of goods and services and the world's largest economy. This powerful and influential governing body is the return, revival, and restoration of the ancient Roman Empire. Revelation 3:3. That's the beast that had the wound, and the deadly wound was healed. It says the formation of the EU was spoken by the prophet Daniel and St. John the Revelator. Daniel described the Roman Empire as the fourth beast having 10 horns, Daniel 7:7. The 10 horns originally represented 10 kings, Daniel 7:24, and their administrative provinces. The regional divisions or tribal territories that formed and constituted the ancient Roman Empire were the Anglo-Saxons, Franks, Alemanni, Lombards, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, Burgundians, Vandals, Suevi, and Heruli. Today, these 10 governments correspond to the identity as Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Spain, Portugal, England, Ireland, and West Germany, all of which are currently key member states of the EU, as the 10 horns equate to the EU today. And some of those...
Now there's, 27, 28, which really stem from those 10.
Interestingly, upon creation of the EU, 10 flagpoles bearing the EU flag initially stood outside their headquarters de facto capital building located in Brussels, Belgium. Considering the book of Revelation, St. John likewise mentions a future scarlet-colored beast and a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns. Revelation chapter 12, verse 3, and chapters 17 and 3. Scarlet and red indicating clues of a future wicked power structure controlled by Edom, so-called white man for those of you who don't know. Scarlet symbolizing sin or transgression, Isaiah 1:18, and red symbolizing Edom, Genesis 25:25. This beast is the same EU or NATO North Atlantic Treaty Organization mentioned by and in conjunction with Daniel. The 7 heads represent the Greeks, Romans, Spanish, French, Germanium Minor, and Germanium Major, and the British.
Where Russia? Where Russia at? Because Nate teaches that Russia is a part of it because he got that from High Priest Ariah at One West. And they used to do the Greeks, the Spanish, and they mentioned Russia. Russia wasn't a part of that, man. Russia wasn't even in power during the time of the first beast.
Revelation, the 13th chapter, details that the beast plays an essential role in the implementation and distribution of the mark. Pursuant to Revelation 17 and 12, we discern that the 10 horns EU would come into power and reign approximately 1 hour or 42 years. Understanding that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. 2 Peter 3 and 8. Dividing 24 hours into 1,000 years, one day equates to 1 hour being 41.7 or 42 years.
Now, he went past it. That's why if you go to Revelation, the 7th chapter, it tells you that. Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, neither the trees, until our servants be sealed on their forehead. So the sealing is taking place as we speak. And I'm pretty much sure that everybody's sealed. Everybody, all 144,000, I can't point them out and give you the names of them, like ISUPK with the 666 men that rule the world. I'm still waiting for that list. But the 144,000 are on this planet watching the web, watching YouTube, and being taught and being sealed, okay?
It says, recalling that the EU was chartered in 1958, we see that modern Rome, Esau's European Union, would have demise in the year 2000. Nonetheless, his downfall is nigh at hand and imminently approaching. Isaiah 55:11, Habakkuk 2 and 3. Since late 2009, the euro has been immersed in the European sovereign debt crisis. Several nations such as Greece, Ireland, Portugal, Spain, and Italy have had difficulty budgeting and refinancing their debts. Government budget deficit spending has resulted in many Eurozone nations losing revenue. That's why you've seen that whole mess going on with the Eurozone and the pigs, right? And all the stuff that they were going through, all those riots that were breaking out, or financial and job-related businesses. It says, and in the loss of confidence in the euro by credit rating agencies such as Standard & Poor's, S&P, Moody's, and Fitch Group. The depreciation and devaluing of both the dollar and euro are grounds, reasons, and justification for why the EU desires the chip to be the new global monetary standard. The dollar, euro, and microchip are all abominable weights and measurements according to the Most High. Leviticus 19:35-36 and Deuteronomy 25:13-16. Certain prominent European leaders support and endorse the RFID chip. French President Nicolas Sarkozy advocates RFID in biometric passports or e-passports, electronic passports, national IDs, and visa, because they all have one goal in common, and they're all working together to bring this new world order or one world government, to establish this one world government. But they're not going to be able to establish it. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has promoted RFID at international trade fairs, stating, "We're pushing RFID into the mainstream." Many of the European elite, privileged socialites, and celebrities already have the RFID chip, as it is needed for admission into various private events, functions, and affairs, such as the VIP section of the exclusive Baja Beach Club in Barcelona, Spain, where VIPs identify themselves and pay for their food and drinks without need of cash or any form of ID. You know, and you know, the RFID is one of the main